Hey guys, welcome to the Off Market Mindset. My name is Michael Riordan. I'm the host, and I'm joined here by Sean McArthur. We're just joking. If you want to call him McArthur, you could do that as well. But what we're going to be covering today, Sean is a fix and flipper. He's also in the multifamily space, but he's got a really, really cool goal as well. He calls it a Mount Everest, which is a 5-year goal where he wants to help 50,000 real estate agents get into real estate investing for themselves. And a little bit of more background on Sean. Not only is he an investor, but he's also a real estate agent as well. And are you just an agent or are you a realtor as well, Sean?
Also a realtor, yeah.
Realtor. Okay. So just to elaborate, there's a big difference because I'm a realtor as well, right? So same thing. But does it sound like I hit everything? I mean, is there anything that I missed or anything you want to elaborate on for people listening or
No, yeah,
watching?
that's perfect. Like, it's been, a huge goal that just kind of a shift from I got out of the military in 2022. I was in the army and just kind of been a shift getting into the real estate agent space and then fix and flip and then multifamily. And it's really cool to see that come back full circle, like we talked about with the Mount Everest, to be able to now really have a passion for helping veterans too and some side projects, but really helping agents now that I've been in that world to get them into investing and to do that. I think it's really, really cool. It's been a huge mission and a huge thing we want to work on, but it's really cool to see that kind of come cool full circle and be able to work towards that.
That's pretty cool, man. And let me ask you, were you a realtor first, or did you get into investing first? Like,
It was kind of both at the same time. So I did my first fix and flip while I was still active duty in the Army. It was actually my very first house ever was a meth house. Do not recommend doing that for your first flip. It was a challenge, but we got through it. And then I kind of held back a little bit, pulled back a little bit from the investing side while I was getting the education. I did that one before I joined Sub 2. And so I kind of just didn't, there was some education pieces lacking. So then I went full time into real estate as an agent. I actually got out of the military early to get into real estate because I just fell in love with it, all aspects. I knew I wanted to do investing. That was always my goal. I just
yeah,
became an agent. I was like, no, I really want to focus on this, learn this skill. Ended up selling 30 in my first 6 months as an agent, and then my first full year sold 53, and then last year 55 as an agent. And so just been kind of doing that a little bit. Now I've been kind of pulling back
dude, that's
from.
awesome. Let me
Yeah.
stop you for a second, right? So, 30 in your first year, and then 55 by the end of the year, 30 in your 6 months, and then 55 in your first year by the end of the year.
Yeah.
The average real estate agent sells like 4 properties a year, right? Like, how did you get that much success just coming into real estate?
Yeah, man, I'm not a great salesperson at all. So I realized that very quickly. I'm terrible at sales. I've been working on improving it, but that's not really my personality. I'm always like working on it and working on improving because I know sales is super important to help people. Really, my goal was to help people, and really what was super powerful. I joined an awesome team that had a lot of the systems in place, and so their goal um, was to change lives and impact more lives. And that really resonated with me about how to just improve. Like, we aligned really well with that. So the goal at the end of the day wasn't to sell a house, sell a house, sell a house. It was like change a family's life, change a life, change a life. And that really impacted me. And then from there, really, it was just super hard work. I was used to working crazy hours with the military. So I just kind of took that over. And honestly, most agents, there are some that do. A lot of them have a great, structure. I'm going to work these many hours, but most of them kind of don't. And so I was able to like move past a lot of my peers just because I worked more steadily and quicker and stuff than they did. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then there's a saying, it's hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard, right?
1,000%.
And one thing that you said, and I think you should probably change your mindset on this, is you said that you're not good at sales, you need to learn sales. You are sales, right? Like at the end of the day, people don't buy because of anything other than the fact that they like you and they trust you. It's just I think where people look at sales, a lot of people look at sales like, oh, you have to know all the right things to say and you have to be able to overcome objections and all this other stuff. But I mean, if you build a good enough relationship, sometimes people naturally sell more.
Hmm.
just because they attract people to them based on their personalities and who they are, you know? And I come from a very strong sales background. I was doing sales professionally since 2016. I
Okay.
sold everything from timeshares to vacation packages to Amazon coaching, real estate leads. I'm sure you've gotten those phone calls before.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, um, it it's always when I try to use the fancy scripts and frameworks and everything else that, your numbers kind of like fall down. Um, it's the most important thing is injecting yourself into the frameworks, just like you said, you started at the brokerage and you had all the right tools, the right resources, you had an amazing team and support. That's all it's really about, right? And as long as you have the structure, your work ethic, and who you are as a person is really what's going to drive you forward when it comes to your sales. So, I think you're giving yourself a little less credit than you deserve, right? But so you had focused on the investment side in the very beginning, then you kind of like got off of it, then you got into real estate, and now you're like full circle into investing now. So what was it that like really put a fire under you to get back into investing, especially after that much success in real estate? Because I mean, you can imagine most people they'd be like, "Oh, well, this is great. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm the man," like.
Yeah, it was just I always knew long term, like that was the vision always was investing. It was always to build that business. So everything I was doing, I was focusing really hard on being an agent because I wanted a really good background. Because like as I started pulling back from it, I wanted to have that skill set and that knowledge to be able, if I'm going to help coach and mentor, which I've fell in love doing. That's kind of what I do more now is like coaching and mentoring other new agents. I want to be like, hey, I've had the success. Sold over 100 homes in 2 years. Like I somewhat know what I'm doing with this. Like I can help you get to where you want to go. And so I really wanted to go all in. I didn't want to just kind of half do it on the side because I knew the clients honestly deserved a better experience than just someone who's kind of just partially kind of into it. I'm sold enough I knew enough how to sell enough. I really wanted to dive into that world. And I think
Yeah.
long term, it's going to build a lot of great relationships from it. But in the background, I was just learning. I joined Sub 2, joined Gator, eventually joined Owners Club. So I was just adding a little more knowledge in there, buying a couple rentals here and there, kind of getting things ready. And then one day, my partner that runs the team, Matt, we just had a conversation. I was like, "Hey, I want to start an investment company. I think we've got a lot of opportunity here. Let's partner and do this thing." So we ended up starting a flipping company from the team leads that came in. We have a cash offer program. I was like,
Okay.
instead of giving these to some big company, like let's just take these down. And so we started doing that. And then, now we've got 4 or 5 active flips right now, all of them completely zero marketing on the investment side of things, all team inbound driven. So we're not really paying for leads. And then it just gives us another tool in the toolbox to help those sellers. We can list your home, we can buy it for cash, for flip it. We have creative finance now. It's another tool in our tool belt if they don't have equity. So we've got more and more tools we're able to give to these sellers to help them, give more tools for the agents to be able to show them how to do it, and it's kind of a win-win for everybody. So it's been really really cool to kind of see that start growing and building and getting traction and momentum there.
Nice, man. Okay. And I know we kind of like talked a little bit earlier, before we started this, and I was telling you like one of my Mount Everest is like a mini Mount Everest, I guess you would say, is
Mhm.
helping real estate agents to be able to utilize real estate investing and creative finance within their business, to be able to help their clients better as well as to, help them increase their income. Because here's the two things, the two issues that I see. One is exactly what you said, right? If you got a part-time realtor, they're halfway in, halfway out. Um, how are they actually going to be able to help their clients to their fullest potential, right? A lot of agents, they're juggling full-time jobs, then being full-time parents, and then they've got that little time in between where it's like, okay, I can focus on my client for this half an hour today to, try to help them out, right? Um, and I think that's okay in the beginning because everyone has to start somewhere. But, when it comes to being a professional, being licensed, and having a career in this, that's why most realtors or real estate agents, let's say, don't make it in the industry. Uh,
Hmm.
the statistics on it are crazy. 75% of real estate agents don't make it past their first year, and within the first 5 years, 87% of realtors don't make it. So that's crazy to think about that. And, in the beginning, doing investing, I was like, well, realtors suck. Realtors are idiots and they don't know anything. And, that's why they're not successful and blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting here complaining about realtors because I think part of my frustration was being a realtor, trying to work with other realtors and how difficult that they can make our job, right? So I started looking at it from a different mindset. Instead of complaining about the problem, it's like, okay, well, how can we find a solution for this? And how can we help them? When I started looking at things with empathy instead of looking at things like, I'm the man type mentality, like the alpha dog mentality. Actually, I don't want to say that because a real alpha helps people, right?
Hmm.
But when I started looking at it from a different mentality where it's like, okay, I want to be as Pace says, a go-giver. I want to help people. That's when my mind shift really happened. And it's like, okay, well, if that's their problem, how can we help them solve that? Right. And what I feel is going to help them faster is learning real estate investing. And it's not just investing for themselves, but also learning investing for their clients so they can help them better, right? Like you said, in a no equity situation,
Hmm.
foreclosure, the sales coming next week type deal where a realtor can't list that property or an agent can't list, creative finance solves that problem, right? And it also will bring them a paycheck a lot faster because if it's off market, now they can get paid in, a week, couple days, 2 weeks. It doesn't have to take 6 months for them to get a paycheck, which is usually the problem for most real estate agents. They can't wait for that check. They got
Hmm.
families to take care of. So, you know, I think that incorporating investing into their business strategy, it only it only helps to improve what they're trying to accomplish. Now, once that happens and once they're successful and they've got the money to be able to take care of their families, now it's okay, well, I'm successful in real estate. How do you continue to help your clients at a higher level? And that's really where this comes in as well. And like you were saying, um, but let's talk about like what you're looking to accomplish with getting, realtors and real estate agents into investing. Um, because it sounds like your Mount Everest is more focused on the agents, and helping them with investing, like to learn it for themselves. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, so it's going back a little bit to what you said about the 87% not making it in business. I think there's a few reasons for that. And one is we talk a lot about, or people in the news always say agents are overpaid. Well, if you think about it, you're like, you peel back the onion, you're like, how are agents overpaid? But there's an 87% turnover rate within 5 years, and most of that within the first year. And so you look at it and you're like, no other industry has nearly a 90% turnover rate in 5 years, and it also says that they're overpaid. So you have to kind of look at it and go, all right, well, where's the disconnect? So most agents, to be honest, are overpaid. And the reason is it's not that they don't do enough and like that real estate agents are overpaid in general. It's just that they didn't do very much for that transaction or for their clients. And then the clients perceive them as being overpaid because all they knew how to do was to open a lockbox for them, take them to a property, send them Zillow listings, and they close a transaction. They didn't advise them, they didn't, negotiate for them. They don't do a lot of the stuff that agents are supposed to do, and they don't have that professional status of an agent. And so
yeah,
that's why typically agents get that bad rap. And so that's one part of the problem is just education piece, which I think you're working to solve. Us teaching people through investing is also going to help solve. And the second piece of it, there's such a huge turnover rate because in general, real estate agents, one, if they make it in the business, they're 65 years old, out there still selling houses. Everyone knows that 70-year-old agent that's like
Yeah.
on oxygen out there at the open house, trying to still sell real estate, and they still sell 30
Right.
homes a year or 20 homes a year. It's such a hamster wheel. And the issue with it is there's no way to build a sustainable business for most agents is the problem, or most of them just don't build one. And so
Yeah.
what we really wanted to do is to teach them how to invest so they can still, hey, focus on your superpower. Most of the agents and most of my friends I talk to don't really want to start an investment business. They don't want to own 100 rentals. They don't want to go out and flip 30 homes a year. That's just not what they want to do. But if we can help them to invest into it, I mean, if you take 20% of your earnings for a year and you sell 20 or 30 homes and you invest that year after year after year into real estate, you don't have to work till you're 65. There's different ways to also build some of that passive income up, but like we can start helping them invest into real estate, part of their commission. They can still focus on their superpower. You don't need to go learn a new skill set, but then they can also, at the same time, they can also help clients at a better level because now they invest themselves. They know how to buy a rental property. They know how to invest in a multifamily. They're understanding the terms, the lingo, so that way they can help clients at a different level than just like, all right, well, let me know when you want me to open that door for you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
awesome, but down the road, automatic lockbox can do the same thing. So like, how can we
Yeah.
help provide value at a higher level? I mean, that's been, I think, where that gap is, and I think you see that too. And I think these are where kind of those bridges come together to be able to help agents at that higher level, and so that that turnover rate isn't at 87%. Now, maybe a lot of people shouldn't get into business in general, like that's just part of it. Everyone's going to have that. But if we can knock that down in 5 years, if people can make it past their first year, now maybe the turnover rate's only 50% in 5 years. Cool. Like that's a huge
Yeah.
difference. And that's also serves people at a better level because that way there's not 60,000 new agents coming and going every year. There's no veterans in the space. There's only a few people. There's tons of new agents coming in. We can have a more veteran, you know, industry. It just helps everybody at a much higher level.
Oh yeah. And I mean, one thing about it though, and it is the fact that, we do get paid good as agents, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that attracts the wrong people to the industry as well, right? And I think that, um, honestly, I think that NAR should do a better job of filtering people coming into the industry. And why I say that is I'm actually one of those statistics when it comes to the realtor side of things. And it's not because I wasn't good at it. Um, it's because I didn't really like it. Um, and I looked at it like I could make a lot of money, but when I started doing real estate, even though I was really good at it, um, I just didn't feel any connection to it, and I didn't even try. Right? I think my first year in the industry, I didn't have 30 something sales. I closed four deals, and I just didn't care to try at all
Mhm.
because it was like really boring. I felt like people didn't listen to the advice that you gave them. It was like just another thing is the support that you have as well. When I first got in, I didn't have that team that you had, and I was just trying to figure things out on my own. I've been an entrepreneur before, but not to a scale where, I mean, I can't say that I had a car wash business. I was doing a couple $1,000s a week sometimes. You know, it was mobile. I was doing it out of my car. I didn't have any professional equipment or nothing. It was all word of mouth because I worked really hard, right?
Mhm.
So I can't say it's that I didn't have the experience as an entrepreneur, but I didn't have the experience with systems. I didn't have experience with processes and all that other stuff. I built a successful business off of hard work, but I didn't really know how I did it, you know?
Mhm.
And then the funny thing is, I found out about investing. It was my first transaction. I had a listing and it was a hybrid sub two. So the person that purchased the property, they bought it, they took over the person's mortgage, and then they made payments to their equity for them. So I thought it was a really interesting concept. And over the years, I continued to sell, 4 or 5 houses a year, just barely
Mhm.
trying. And at some point I was like, you know what? I hate this. Like, this isn't worth it. I don't like what I'm doing. It doesn't matter how much money that I make. And yeah, I think I made like an average of like $50,000. I mean, it wasn't like substantial or anything like
Mhm.
that, but I mean, I did better than most people and I wasn't even trying. So I started looking into the investing, and the guy that bought the first house for me, I stayed in contact with him and I saw he's posting every single month. Oh, I got this new house, or we're flipping this house. I just helped this person with their foreclosure. I helped this other person. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to give up on real estate. Maybe I'm just in the wrong area of it. So I started looking more into investing, and it really caught my eye, and it seemed really interesting. So that's what really got me into it, was just my interest grew and grew and grew. And what I love about it is I feel like I'm actually helping people in a bad situation, versus the people that are entitled and they're not listening to you telling them to put in a certain offer. They're not listening to you when you go over their house and you're like, okay, I think you should sell it for this price because of these comps and, in your specific neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, I want to list it for $100,000 more, $50,000 more. And you're like, why did I waste my time with you? You know, Whereas you've got someone in a foreclosure, they've got children, they're married, their whole life is in that house, and they're about to lose that house, right? Not only are they dealing with foreclosure, they're probably dealing with mental issues, maybe possible, thinking about suicide, depression. These people are displacing their children. It's going to affect their children as well. Like, so what I like about it is, and it's kind of like what you were saying, is it's having all the tools available.
Mhm.
What I try to focus on is not just how can I buy this person's house. First is, can this person keep their house? And sometimes it's as simple as, hey, do you have a 401k? I forgot all about that. Thank you so much. Okay, great. We'll get your 401k and, save your house, right? Or do you have a friend or family member, your rich uncle that you can borrow the money from that would help you out? Like something that gives them an idea they didn't think about. If they can't keep the house, then it's where you offer to help them out, right? And maybe they can't keep the house, but you're going to save their credit from a foreclosure, right? And then on top of that, while you're making the payments, you're going to help fix their credit and rebuild it. So now we're able to help people out to restart their life faster. And then during that transition where they do have to leave the house, well, what other resources can I provide? Right? Can I provide moving assistance? Can I, buy a storage unit for them for a couple months to keep their stuff? Can I provide them with mental health, counselors in the area? Can
Mhm.
I get them food? Like what can we do to help these people in the situation they're in? Because as investors, we do make a lot of money, right? But I saw this great video today, actually, this morning, and this guy needed a haircut, and he walked into the barber shop, and he was homeless, and he was like full beard, hair all dirty, stinking, and everything. And he was like, "Oh, sir, I really need help. I don't have much money. Can you cut my hair? I have a job interview tomorrow." So the guy was like, "Yeah, sure." And he cut his hair, and he turned down the money. And he told him, "Here's a towel, go in the back. I don't have much, but there's soap and a sink back there, and clean yourself up." And he gave him a jacket, and he handed him a card, and he said, "I don't want your money, pay it forward," right? And in the video, the guy goes on to become a successful real estate agent and an investor. And it's funny because that's what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
it's just the concept of the video. And the guy that helped him and cut his hair, he was selling his barbershop because he couldn't afford it anymore. And the guy was like much older. So the real estate investor bought his barbershop, and he gave him the card. He held on to the card, and he said, "Here, I want you to continue to pay it forward. You helped me at the lowest point in my life," right? And imagine that impact that that person made on that person, that set up a spiral of events to where he was able to do something like that and help the person that helped him, right? Like how
For
many
sure.
people can we help just by helping that one person in their situation? So, and I know that was long-winded there, but I mean, it's just, I think that's why we're here, right? Like just to provide as much value to people as possible and give a better understanding of what we're doing. So that way, let's say a realtor that you're talking to, they hear about, real estate investing and they're like, oh, it's a scam, or oh, it doesn't help people, or oh, you're a predator, you're trying to hurt my clients. No, maybe we can revert them back to these videos and show them, listen, we are human beings, and at the end of the day, not everyone's out to get everyone. But
Hmm.
if we can educate these agents for the people that are out there scamming, because there are people that are doing it, right? I mean, we
Hmm.
have to be realistic. They'll know what to look for. So,
Yeah,
but
and the more we educate them too, like we can also help them find the people that are scamming. Because like the issue is when you don't know the industry at all, you're prone to it because you receive a quick cash offer and you're like, "This is awesome! For we can get this for our client." And like,
yeah,
man, like they're gonna try to wholesale. Like you're already on market. This client needs to close in a week. Like they're just anyway. It's just and that's what the cool thing now is like on the team and the brokerage. Like that's I get those calls all the time. People forward me emails because they're like, "Hey, is this legit? Can you help me with this? What does this look like?"
yeah,
And I'm like, hey, look at paragraph 16 on this contract. This is definitely a wholesaler. They're not a cash buyer. Like, hey, you can't get them on the phone. Do they have a proof of funds? So we can help them get to the
mhm,
bottom of it to be able to go, no, this one's legit. I would take this, or no, this one's not a real person. Like they're gonna move you, they're just gonna mess you around for a while. This proof of funds is fake. And so like what we can
yeah,
do is like as we're educating agents, we also help them serve their clients at a better level. And I think that's what it's all about. Like you said, it's being able to help that one person, help that one agent, help that one client. And that's the cool thing with investing side of things, which is why I agree. That's why I kind of fell in love with it more. I could sell a lot of real estate, but I just love solving bigger problems. And so it's been cool because now I solve them for other agents on the team, which is awesome. Like I get all the crazy deals and the crazy people and commercial and all that stuff. Everyone like, hey, how do you structure a seller finance deal? I've got a client needing to do that. And it's cool because like the sales manager will call me and ask questions, like which I love. Like it's cool. Like she gave back a ton to me when I was first starting, and now it's cool to be able to give back to them. And so it's just,
yeah.
but you're right. Investing, we can solve problem. There is no cookie cutter. List it for this, get it for this. And it's just all about solving problems, getting creative with it. And I think that's a really awesome thing. And there are a lot of bad actors out there, but there's also a lot of people who are doing this for the right reasons. And you can make money and also do a thing for the right reason and help a seller. And it's really cool to be able to do both to make an impact, making money, but also change a lot of lives in the meantime, which I think it's super great.
Oh yeah. And one thing to point out too is it's not just the small people running scams, right? And well, I
Mhm.
don't want to call it a scam. It's a really bad sales tactic. But what you'll find with these big hedge funds is they'll come in, they'll offer over asking price. They get your sellers all excited. And unfortunately, I learned the hard way on this one, right? But then they come in, they do an inspection, and they drop the price down $75,000, $100,000, and they're like, "Oh, your bathrooms are outdated." I was like, really? Like, I didn't know a bathroom cost $75,000. But, um, you know, it's knowing the tactics and like the mistakes that are made in real estate investing as a real estate agent. That's not only going to protect your client, but your reputation as well,
Hmm.
right? Because say that you get that offer and then they drop the price down and stuff, and then the seller finds out, well, oh, well, it was a hedge fund, and I saw that they do that all the time. Why didn't you know that? You're my realtor, right? So it also helps you, even if you have no interest in investing at all.
Hmm.
You should still understand investing because it's part of your business. And a lot of people may think that it's not because they don't teach you in school about, subject to, they don't teach you in school about creative financing and all that other stuff. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't know it and it's not part of your
Hmm.
industry, because it's 100% is. You're just not taking the time to educate yourself on the higher levels of what your industry has to offer. So now, one thing I want to ask you, when you say like your broker, other agents, and the company, they'll come to you for advice and stuff like that. Let's say that somebody watching this has a question about, creative financing. Maybe they get
Mhm.
an offer. Would they be able to reach out to you or?
Yeah, I would love to connect with people. I've honestly recently that's been mostly what I've been doing is obviously still running a real estate business and doing that stuff, but really been trying to give back a lot more. And agents have just been like a really, I've seen how hard a lot of them work, and I've seen how hard like I work doing it. And I've seen how many deals you work 60 hours in and they don't close and you don't get one penny. And that's
Mhm.
very, very tough industry to be in. Unlike a car sale or something like that, where the timelines are much shorter, like these could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of follow up. You go under contract, work through this, and you get nothing out of it. And I think that's really tough. So yeah, I have a huge like soft spot for them. So yeah, of course, I would love anyone to reach out to me on social media. It's probably the best place, just either Instagram or Facebook. Probably the two
Yeah.
best ways right now. We're building out a community and a few things like that, but for right now, those are probably the best. And yeah, we'd love to help go over if you think something's a scam or a creative finance deal or something like that. We'd love to help go over that with you and see how we can help your clients make sure it's a better way. Or if you just want to make sure, hey, this seems a little fishy, something seems off with it. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Just an investor just didn't do a great job explaining it, but it's really important to understand that. And yeah, would love to help answer any questions anyone has.
Awesome, man. Okay. And what you should do, I'm gonna put your socials in the
Yeah.
descriptions and stuff like that, but do you want to give them your handles that they can,
Yeah.
reach you on just in case?
Yeah, it's at the Shawn McArthur, Shawn McArthur, on Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everything. It's the same way. So you can find me there. Would love to help answer those. I do a pretty good job checking my DMs pretty regularly. So would love to help connect with you if you just have questions about real estate or joining our network, or just you have questions just about investing or just having an issue with a deal. I would love to help go over that with you and see how we can help. So
Awesome. Yeah, and if anybody does want to reach out to me as well, I'm also willing to help out. So you already have all my info since you're watching my podcast, but I'll have all my links in the description as well. But I know we touched on a lot about, real estate agents and better educating them, helping them to, be able to implement investing into their business as an agent. Let's talk more about yourself now, because the majority of it, we spoke about what you're trying to do to help other people, but
mhm.
obviously you're a real estate investor as well. Being that you are in the multifamily space, you're looking to do fix and flips. If anybody watching this wants to send you deals, talk more about that and how they can maybe work with you to make some income with you.
Yeah, so right now, mostly locally, we're doing a lot of fix and flips, but we're in a very small area in Missouri outside St. Robert. So more than likely, you're probably not going to find a lot of flips there. But multifamily, we're looking for anything larger than 12 units, especially anything open to creative finance, we're looking to purchase. Or if the seller is willing to carry some, we're open to that. And then other than that, what I've been doing a lot recently is just helping structure and JV with on people with deals wherever they're at. So if you need help, you've got a deal, you're just trying to make the numbers work or trying to figure out contracts or figuring out a lot of that stuff. Don't let that hold you back. I know that's one of the biggest misconceptions with real estate is you're like, I know, talked to a guy recently. He had two great wholesale deals. He just didn't know the paperwork and he let them fall through because he didn't know how to get the paperwork filled out.
Oh, wow.
So if you need, yeah, crazy. And like he had two deals. I'm like, hey man, first off, you had two yeses, so congrats. Um,
Yeah.
don't let the paperwork ever stop you. If you have questions, reach out to me. We'll get that taken care of. It's not a huge piece of the puzzle. So yeah, we're working on JVing with people a lot that just need help structuring deals, stuff like that. We're just needing connecting with local people. We love to help do that. Or like Gator, stuff like that. We've been helping like get people connected with
Yeah.
financing, that kind of stuff as well. So
But one thing to point out, and for anybody listening, the biggest thing that's going to stop you from being successful is ego, right? And if you think about what Sean just said, he found somebody, they had two wholesale deals that fell through because they didn't know the paperwork, right? It doesn't matter how much experience you have, you can always learn something. If you're not sure of something, seek for advice and help because that guy, he probably lost at least $30,000 between those two deals, minimum, at least.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, he
but
really could use the money too. And it's like this sport is the least solo sport in the world. It's just real estate. You can do it for a little while. You can go pretty fast on your own. But if you want to go long and far in this industry, you have to rely on other people. The most successful people that I know, none of them are doing this entire thing by themselves. Like they've got a team, they JV with people, they support people, they work together, they're super collaborative. And that's what really sets apart us and Sub to You and Owners Club and some of these communities apart from others is like it's really collaborative. You're like, hey, what's working for you? Here's exactly what's working. Here's my playbook. Like, let me tell you exactly what's working. And it's awesome when people reach out to us, like, we'd love to, sure, man, let's work on this deal together. Let's partner on this thing. Let's collaborate. Let's see how we can work together. Let's both make money. Like, that's really, really awesome thing is people can work together on a lot of different aspects and industries. It's not like sometimes even like the agent world where it's kind of like everybody's hush hush and keeping every deal together. That's my lead. That's my thing. Don't talk to my person. And that's
yeah,
where our community is so cool is like people will send me a wholesale deal that they're trying to get under contract and they're not worried about me trying to go snake that deal and steal that seller. And I'm like, no, I just need more information so I know how to help you. Like, I'm not trying to steal a deal from you. I don't really want your deal. I want to work with you and collaborate. If I get nothing out of it, I'm glad to help. And then sometimes, we can also work together and make this a more collaborative thing long term and both make money together, which is even more awesome. So,
oh yeah, yeah, and I think what you just said is important. Like when you have like that pay it forward, go getter, go giver mentality, right? You're focused on how you can help people, but let's not like get it misconstrued. The whole goal is to help other people, but if you're helping other people without expecting anything in return every single time, you're going to be the greatest guy in the world, but you're also going to be broke,
mhm,
right? So, the whole point of this is, you also want to make sure that you're leaving a lasting on impression on somebody while you're helping them, because the whole goal is we want to continue to do business together, right? If I can help you or if you can help me to improve myself in my business, I'm going to remember that. It's the law of reciprocity, right? So then say that I do get a deal, I'm more likely to come to you when you help me versus, go and send it to other people.
mhm,
So, I mean, having that go-giver mentality is, how many people can I help? Because you want to build that network of people. And let's say that you never did a deal with them ever and they don't come back to you, at least you were able to help them. But, most people, you're going to want them to continue to do business with you. So that way you can keep helping them and helping their clients, right? It's all just a big
exactly.
spider web. But, well, that's pretty cool, man. And is there, I guess, like any like specific thing that you would say that has led to your point of success right now as an investor that you'd want to share with
The
anybody?
biggest thing, honestly, is community. Getting around the right community, the right. Yeah, so really, honestly, it's about getting around the right community, being around the right people. I think that is the number one thing. There's so much information out there that can be really easy to think I can just take free information. I can just go to YouTube and watch XYZ or go to ChatGPT and pull information. But the problem is, one, information, you're only getting bits and pieces of it, and it's tough to aggregate that together into actual
Oh yeah.
actionable items.
Yeah, the
And if you're
more
not
that
around
you
the
watch, the more questions you have, right? So,
Literally, it gets you actually can sometimes set yourself back because then you're like, well, now there's this and now there's this thing. And getting around a mentor, a partner, a community that helps supports that, I think is literally the difference of make or break for most people. Now, some people can bootstrap it all and do the whole thing themselves. Awesome. And I think there are some great people that can do that. But for the
yeah.
majority, 90% plus of people, and it's not even saying that like you're less of a person or less of an investor if you need help, like we all do. So like get around the community and it'll also set your pace up 5 years ahead of where you would be if you did it on your own. So like that's been the cool thing. Like I've got 3, 4, 5, 10 years of experience in some things because I was around those people that had 10 years of experience. And that's the cool thing is you can really shrink that gap between where you are, where you want to go by sometimes paying to be in that room, sometimes paying for that mentor because now you're taking all of their skill set, their expertise, their advice, and not making the same mistakes that they did. They cost them that same amount of money that you're paying them, which is really, really cool. So,
Oh yeah. And one thing to kind of point out is going back to the, hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard.
mhm.
It doesn't matter how much of a community you have. It doesn't matter how much information you have. It doesn't matter how amazing your mentor is. If internally you don't want to be successful, you won't. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, take imperfect action, because you're going to make mistakes, but with those mistakes, you're going to learn along the way. And that's why it's important to have a mentor and someone to guide you. So that way you can kind of, mitigate some of those mistakes. But at the same time, if you wait for everything to be perfect, you're going to be waiting your entire life for your success.
100%. It'll never ever be perfect. Even the top people in the entire world that are top of their industry make mistakes. They're learning new things every day. And the difference between those who are continuing to improve are the ones that are continuing to make mistakes. I heard it best recently that failure isn't an option. It's literally a requirement to be able to get to where you want to go. The successful aren't the ones running away from failure, away from mistakes. They're running towards it, embracing that, making that failure over and over and over again until they get it right, until they make that. It's just really the biggest thing is you just don't want to fail to the point where it breaks you. So that's why getting around people and in communities that have those safety rails, I can make a mistake, but I'm not going to fall off the cliff. Like I've got guardrails up to where I can make a mistake, but I'm not going to jail. I'm not going to go bankrupt off this deal. It's good to make failures and mistakes and work hard. You just got to have something to some sort of safety rails or someone to ask to say, hey, should I buy this deal? You're like, no, you're going to be in $2 million debt. Don't do that or whatever. You're going to make mistakes. It's just having those guardrails up so that you're not falling off the cliff and, ending your investment career before you ever can get it started. So,
Yeah, no, 100%, man. So, um, now one last thing that I'd like to ask you here is
mhm.
when it comes to making mistakes, um, what is like the biggest mistake that you've made that you were able to learn from? Because I look at mistakes like lessons,
Mhm.
right? Some people say, "Oh, I failed." You didn't fail until you quit. Right. So you might have temporary failures, but out of that failure, you're going to learn something, right? So for you, what was like the biggest mistake or failure that you've had that you were able to learn from and that helped you to, overcome?
Man, that's a great question. I know it's super easy actually on this one. So like I told actually our team recently on it that you can, and that's why I'm so big on getting mentorship, paying for partnerships, paying for community, paying for coaching, whatever, because I've got a lot of education I've intentionally paid for, and I've got a lot of education that I unintentionally paid for, and that's where those mistakes come in, is that unintentional education that I'm like, hey man, I made, that's the most expensive education I have. I learned a lot of lessons from it, but man, could I put that $60,000 to something else? But yeah, so I had one. Honestly, most of it was the biggest lesson I learned was partnerships
Mhm.
and mostly with contractors. Contractors specifically, one, I really don't recommend ever partnering with one. Um, at least me personally, it didn't work out super well. So, and if you
Yeah.
do partner with one or trust one, trust is only goes as far as that trust goes, and you'll never you never want to give them too much leaps and bounds, especially your contractors. Now, you may have an awesome partnership with one that you've known for a long time, and that's great. You just got to really be careful with people can talk the talk, and until they've supported that over and over and over again, it's talk is cheap, and that can be very expensive. So I had a flip recently ended up being a few flips that they did that just ended up all not going that great. As I was doing reflection, I kept going, man, I'm selling these for exactly what I thought they should sell for. I'm buying them right on the target. The budget that we start with is exactly what it should be. And I keep losing money on these deals or breaking even. I'm like, I don't understand how this is possible. And I did 3 or 4 flips in a row. This same contractor that we had a great relationship. I thought we were friends. We kind of started to, we ended up the last one. I was like, hey, you know what? I want to focus on getting more deals, doing that. I don't really like design. How about you run the project? I'll tell you what the budget is. You run the project and you just handle the whole thing, and then we'll split profits. So, like the contractor that's been doing that,
Hmm.
I gave her the checkbook for the project. We had money from the draws, do it. The project ended up taking over a year to do. We're supposed to have it done in 3 months. It took I bought it in November of 2023, and I sold that a little over a month ago. That's how long we had that project.
Oh my
Um,
God, that's great.
and the original budget was I was supposed to sell it one at first. The original budget was 58,000 when he was going to buy it. We ended up she took it over and we were going to finish the project. It was going to cost 80,000 to do. We bought it for 90, so it was a pretty big rehab budget, but only gonna be 80. Ended up over the budget ended up being over $140,000 somehow. Still don't know how that is. We'll see how that ends up. I don't even know. I'm not sure how the back piece of it's gonna end up yet. We'll still see. We're still working through that one. But I ended up costing me over $45,000 just in interest payments, loan payments, mortgage, just holding costs over $45,000, and then
Yeah,
another
yeah,
20 or 30,000 outside of that. So just that one deal cost probably 60 or 70 grand. But what I did from it is I learned even before it sold, learned a ton about, budgets and wanting to have contractors sign and agreements. And then also really the biggest thing for me, I learned a lot of the other stuff with it, but was just about partnering with the right people. And you always want to date before you kind of jump into that partnership marriage. And it doesn't matter how good they've done before, or how good they talk, if their actions aren't aligning with what they're telling you, at a certain point, either they're lying to you or they're not as good as they say they are. And either one can have the same effect on your business, whether they're incompetent or they're stealing from you, the net result ends up kind of being the same. And so
yeah,
you really got to filter through that. And I still, honestly, to this day, I don't know yet. I'm not sure whether they're incompetent and just not great at their job and bad at budgeting, or if she's intentionally stealing. I think it's a little bit mix of both, but either way, the net result ends up being the same. And so as
yeah,
you're as you're vetting these partnerships and relationships, you always want to give back to people, but you always got to keep in mind kind of that little bit too of like, one, are they an awesome person? Can you trust them? Are they have good ethics and morals? They gonna, but also are they good at their job too? Because having a bad partner that they could be the greatest person in the world, but they're absolutely terrible at the responsibilities you give them and they don't manage things correctly, can have a massive, massive impact in a negative way on your business. So that's you got to
yeah.
have both sides of that coin, and that was my biggest learning lesson from all of that.
Wow. Well, that's definitely a expensive lesson to learn, but hopefully somebody that's watching this will be able to learn from your mistake and not make the same mistake. But I mean, I think that we both know from Pace's story, um, not even after when you have everything in front of you, you don't always listen to somebody. And I know
Yep.
for Pace it cost him over $1 million. So, but
Yeah, well, that's a little bit bigger than mine, but yeah, it's one of those things that hopefully we never make that same mistake that he did, and hopefully it's making smaller and smaller and smaller mistakes that are less expensive.
yeah, awesome, man. Well, listen, this was great. I think that you provided so much value on this, and again, just we're at the end of our time here. If you want to leave everybody with your Instagram and Facebook handles, how they can reach out to you one last time, just in case they missed it last time, and then just leave everybody with something that you want, like a message that you want to put out there to the world as well.
Yeah, so would love to connect with anyone on Instagram's probably the best way at the Shawn McArthur. Facebook's great too. I would love to connect with anyone, and then really the biggest thing, and the last thing I'll leave with is get around those right community, those right people. Pay for that mentor, pay for that partnership, pay for that community. To just get into that room, like it's going to make your learning curve so much smaller just being around that right person, being around that right. And there's different ways to do that too. You can earn to play, you can pay for the education, you can also bring deals and learn that way. There's different ways. You don't It's not necessarily just writing a check to someone, but find that mentor, find that partner, and it's going to be a massive, massive change both for you mentally as you're learning this business, but also just getting you a lot further down the road much quicker. That's kind of the last thing I would definitely leave everybody with.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's actually how I got started. I connected with somebody in the community that we're part of, and I'm not trying to sell the community or anything like that, but I connected with somebody. They showed me the ropes. I was able to make enough money where I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. And then I actually went full into the mentorship. And I mean, both of us, we spent, a lot of money, and then we've also lost a lot of money doing the wrong things. So I'm
Yep.
just glad to be around people with the same mindset and mentality. that can continue to uplift my business so that way, I can do the same for others. So
100%.
awesome, man.